The reason, I'll tell you a little bit about the reason behind the presentation that I'm giving today, the motivation behind it, and then hopefully by the time I'm done with that, then we will also have a small screen so that you can see things. So like the last 3 days, the Open Source Summit main events were happening around, and I went to talk to a couple of people of what kind of projects they're working on. Open source projects, majority of them, and I asked them, well, what motivates someone to join a project that they're working on currently? Well, a lot of times you will hear that the main answer is that well, work dictated it, and now we are like maintaining and we're contributing. But for other people, it's a simple interest on a project that they are connected with. Yeah, so if you ask the question online, like what is Sonic OS, to somebody who just has never heard about it, they will come across like some complicated answer like this, that now the Google's like newest AI assistant that gives answers like to give this answer. And it's quite complicated. You listen to it, you're like, oh, it's an open source, Linux-based networking operating system maintained by the Linux Foundation. Okay, you might understand a couple of words, and then it starts saying about what it's built on, and all the SI and all the protocols. And for somebody who doesn't work in the industry, that's enough that you're not gonna want to mess with it, right? It sounds too complicated. But usually the bar answer that you usually give to people, so if you don't know someone and they come up to you and they ask you, hey, what do you work on? Well, you say that you contribute into an open source operating system that makes routers and switches and hence the internet work, I guess, which sounds more cool and gets more people interested. So when we're talking about open source and what open source entails, open source means that anyone can see, use, change, and share a code base. And that means that instead of being a single company's effort, it's now a community of people that get to develop it. Well, when it comes to Sonic, there is a small barrier of entry, right? So I don't know how many of us have switches and routers in our rooms at home. They're quite expensive machines. So when the physical tests, basically labs are expensive and exclusive, there's high hardware costs, there is limited scalability, of course, to somebody who is not already in the field. So it's difficult basically for newcomers to access and start contributing. And these are barriers that can lead to talented developers from contributing, like especially like students, hobbyists, and engineers outside of the large vendors that are currently already contributing. So what is the Sonic's long-lasting? Like this has existed for a while, so it's not something new. But basically, Sonic offers for testing and for playing around, it offers a virtual testbed mechanism, right? So virtual testbeds, they allow us to simulate hardware, and then we get to run on the software side without the need of a physical system, which means that anyone with a laptop can spin up a Sonic lab, and there is no need for expensive switches or racks. And yeah, it allows for super fast iterations and, well, much cheaper than physical systems. So Sonic kind of already has everything ready for you. So everything you need to know about how to compile a Sonic image, and you can also compile a virtual image. It can be found on the Sonic build image, and then everything that you want on the testing side can be found in the Sonic management repository. So that means that everything that you need to get going is already there. And then the second most common question is that if you want to start contributing to such a large project, do you have to be like some tech genius? You need to find things that are like on networking protocols and optimize things that that are extremely hard. Well, no. So what I did here is I have a very small example of what someone who is looking to contribute to Sonic in the future, what could it look like. So I'm gonna bring my another tab here. All right, and hopefully we start. So yeah, so the first page that I have open here is the build image, where basically it's just to show that there are the instructions of how to make your own or how to compile your own image. So you will find anything that you would need to find over there, and then let's say you have an image either made yourself, or you have grabbed it from the unofficial, I guess it's still considered unofficial, the certain automatic indexes where like you can find all the latest builds. Let's say now you have any of those, then following the very nice instructions on the Sonic management side, then you can basically get a virtual testbed, and it's quite simple, quite quick. I wanted to show you actually, but then my proxy does not let me run to my jump server because the internet is unsafe or something like that. Well, which makes sense. Yeah, like, so you can get basically, and even if you just Google, like if you have never touched the Sonic operating system before, you can just Google for a guide, and there's this very nice one by Celestica, like that has like how to get started, and cool for them. Like I think we need to put more effort into creating nice instructions that people who are maybe not that invested into the project can follow. But yeah, so what the contribution workflow would go is that there is this great documents called the design documents, and inside of the design documents you will see about the functionality of a specific feature or a specific thing that Sonic wants to add. And particular here I have the NTP open, the NTP design document. And inside of this design document, somewhere, if we go lower a bit, there's gonna be actually let me just config. Just give me a second to go to the correct spot. Not this. Come on, I thought I had it already. Okay, yeah. So there is this for example, there is this config NDP VRF command that, well, according to the document, should exist. Currently doesn't exist, right? So if you go around and scour the Sonic's repositories, you will find that basically there is this Sonic utilities where the config command is, and in here, if I search for NTP, then I will see that there are all the other currently supported like NTP commands here. So there is the add, and then there's the delete, but there is no VRF. So by practicality, because of a lot of code being in Python, I can already get to see, if I'm a newcomer, like get to see, okay, what is there already? How are usually these command structures being done? And once I have it figured out, then I can basically just write a small change that I can open a pull request and submit. And behind every single new thing that we add, we have to have tests, obviously. And yeah, and if you want to follow up like more closely, I guess, of what's going on, and you want to talk with the community and see like how you're fitting in, then there is the Sonic calendar, which probably majority of you are familiar with here. But you get to hear how the community progresses and how they are trying in problems and finding solutions. Yeah, so if I go now back here, and I managed to current slide. Perfect. Yeah. Um, so why are virtual testbeds outside of just newcomers? Why are they great? Well, they are very scalable. They're more speed efficient. You can do more rapid iterations and bug reproductions that then you can obviously automate it with you can automate it and put it wherever you want. And yeah, so they are extremely efficient. Now, obviously, there are some limitations that they're not suitable for ASIC level performance or real latency testing, and if you basically want a specific device virtualized and it doesn't exist, you have to make it yourself, or then ask if somebody who has it would be willing to share it. But then at the end of the day, yeah, it has to work on the hardware. But even if you don't have the hardware physically, like any change that is done on the gets tested and seen by the community, and then with the community testing, like it will be found if something was wrong with it. So what is the view for the future? That hopefully we get to have more industry outsiders, students, hobbyists, enthusiasts contributing. That will allow us to dilute the pool a bit, get more new ideas in, and hopefully that will help us have a bigger and stronger community. That's pretty much it from my side. Thank you very much.
All right, any questions for Mike?
Oh, no.
You tried to do this, or your team tried to do it. Any like feedback, or maybe I would say some ideas how we can improve this process to involve any roadblocks through the process while you try to make this virtual, or everything was perfect and we just need to continue like it is?
Yeah, so currently I'm not sure how much I can say, but basically like internally at Nokia we made our own, like although the public documentation is pretty nice, we made our own documentation for newcomers that are doing the onboarding, and I think we have the will and are trying to push these changes perhaps also upstream so that other people like get to see them. But at least from my personal experience, like this was my first, right? Before I got to touch the physical, like I got to play with virtual, and I feel like it's yeah, anyone can start and play around with Sonic and start contributing tomorrow if they want. There is a lot of little things that are open and need to be handled.
So my personal experience on this event, refers to your first slides. I had to explain what Sonic is, and I have no better way than asking people, do you know what OpenWRT is? And then saying that it's the same, but for bigger and buffier switches. Probably you have a better idea to simply explain people what Sonic is. That's one question. The second, I expected you jumping into container labs. I know Nokia is active there. I personally cannot encourage our engineers to use it. There is a barrier of entry, the same like to Sonic. So the question is how to lower this barrier. Any advice on this?
Okay, I would like to preface this. I have done a little bit of work basically with people from my school where I studied and whatnot. They are not at all connected with Sonic, but I told them, hey, like give it a go, like and try and test it. I think that yes, there is an entry, like there is a barrier to entry, like because of the nature of it, right? But I feel like that anyone who is like willing to just look, I think it just comes out. Even if you just start playing around with the interface, then you start looking at these config commands, and then you figure out, oh, what is AAA, what is DNS, what is like. Even if you don't have any networking experience, I feel like Sonic kind of speaks to you. It tells you, hey, like I have this command here, like you can list all the commands. So if I have this command that like it allows the user to then search it, oh, what is that? And that's how I learned about Sonic. So yes, it is hard, and like I said, like it's not. Perhaps it's not so useful for people who already have the hardware labs and they already have access to them. But it's mostly about like people who want to contribute and want to do this simpler things, because software side things should always work, right? Unless you've done something terribly wrong. So for those people, I feel like it's quite easy to enter. I haven't found anyone at least who has said otherwise so far.
So more a comment rather than a question, really. So I come from originally a wireless sensor network background, and have done quite a bit of work in the last few years on small-scale 5G. So I come from kind of the background where minimalism is everything, because of cost and because of the necessary complexity. But also in those backgrounds, particularly the sensor network backgrounds, I think the issue the community had was the lack of a killer application. Now, you clearly already have that. So to get hobbyists and academics involved, you need some problems that can be picked up by people that have got an interest in that isn't just about business. Yeah, so you see, and I think that's possibly the gap you have. So I've come here today with very little knowledge about what Sonic is. And to me, I can definitely see the barrier of entry problem. All of the component technologies you have, I kind of understand all of that stuff, but I'm really struggling at the moment to understand how to join together the problem of the issues that you want to get solved and the incentive that you would give the open source community to come in and start working on this as a hobby. That to me is a big gap. So I'm kind of putting that thought set out there, because at the moment, from my perspective, this looks like the kind of thing that industry would see there are some problems and then they'll pay some money to some developers to solve it. Whereas a lot of the open source community and some of the other networking technologies have been fundamentally different in that it has been people who are just interested in cool stuff and have wanted to get involved in it. Does that kind of mindset make some sense here? So it's, like I said, it's more of a comment rather than a question. But I was just a little bit alarmed when it was said, oh yeah, we want to get more hobbyists involved, when you've got a large-scale network system that is a million miles away from anything that anyone's ever going to have in their home, and expecting people to kind of jump on board and start contributing to this thing. So it's a comment rather than a question.
Well, I always want to believe that, you know, that there are those people out there who are willing to, like, even if you say like that it's not something that they're going to have in the backyard, but like look at the kernel, for example, the Linux kernel. There's contributors who might not even have anything to do related to the kernel, yet they go through, and it's a much bigger project, the Linux kernel, but still you find people who are like, out of their own interest, they joined, and I think and I hope that there are people like that who will hear about this project, and once they realize that there is like a way to enter that does not require you to have like all the hardware and all those limitations, then I feel like they would jump in, because there's always going to be somebody who is interested.
Great. Oh, yeah.
In terms of the simulator landscape for network topology, how does Sonic, the plans for the documentation, link into that simulator network? The reason I'm asking is because if you look at, you know, consumer like finance technology, for example, like Stripe has made quite a bit of progress taking its documentation and applying MCP, and it's like made it really easy to use. And so is there some analogy there with the docs, simulators, and making the sandboxing more accessible?
I might not be, or I want to answer, but I might not be able to give the best answer. So if that's okay, I would like to, yeah, because I don't want to say basically anything that might be faulty. But yeah, as far as I know, at least I'm gonna say this, like the thing that people who tend to use this, for example, in-house, like they in their own respective like companies, like they probably like have their own virtualized hardware that they test, and in majority of cases, I think that if you have gone through the process of creating a virtualized and like a hardware of your hardware so that you can run Sonic on it, and I think that in some kind of logistics, like it might have made sense. So that's why people are still compiling and using them. But I don't know the accurate number, so I cannot tell you, hey, like this is so.
Anything else? Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
All right.